Well, 2024 is getting off to a great start. Just 2 days in, and the stupidity is firing on all cylinders.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
Sometimes we are hurt by our own words. It's something that seems to be happening more and more these days, especially in the entertainment sphere. In an attempt to sound intelligent, the director of the new Star Wars movie has put her foot in her mouth, but in the process, she's accidentally disrespected the legacy of one of the most important women in history. But before we get into that public smiting, today's video is brought to you by me, Jeff Hicks, and my graphic novel, Stealing Solo. Stealing Solo asks the greatest what-if question of all time. What if a group of disgruntled Star Wars fans kidnap Harrison Ford and force him to remake Star Wars in their basement? That, and a whole lot more, is answered in Stealing Solo, a Captain's Parody. Stealing Solo has been called Laugh Out Loud Funny and the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs, and it's available now for a limited time only. Go to StealingSolo.com, which is powered by Shopify, so you get the reward-winning safety and security, and get yourselves a copy today. Once we sell through this limited backstock, I'm going back to the drawing board to bring you the sequel, which parodies Luke Skywalker's fall from grace, and finally the closing chapter, which I can't wait to get to, Frankenfisher, the Bride of Solo. And yes, it's exactly what you think it is. So folks, the only way to get that is go to StealingSolo.com right now, get yourselves a copy, and enjoy the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs. Hollywood is obsessed with promoting their virtue. It's nothing new. For decades, they've always been the first to pat themselves on the back for the littlest of achievements. As time passed and participation trophies grew, so did their desire for praise. After realizing the golden rule for making audiences care was promoting some achievements as a first, Hollywood went ham on the firsts. First female action star, first black superhero, first Afro-trans robotic humanoid. They were all accounted for. After the mountains of firsts, one has finally been scratched off the list, and it's about time to make fun of it. Star Wars director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy has said it's about time a woman shaped a Star Wars film after the beloved sci-fi franchise has gone close to half a century with only films directed by men. Let that sink in for a moment. Half a century, folks. Can you just taste the oppression? Obaid-Chinoy will direct a currently untitled and undated Star Wars film starring sequel trilogy star Daisy Ridley, following her character Rey Skywalker as she looks to rebuild the Jedi Order. I'm very thrilled about this project, because what I feel we're about to create is something very special, Obaid-Chinoy told CNN. We're in 2024 now, and it's about time we had a woman come forward and shape a story in the galaxy far, far away. So the article goes on to list all of the male directors and their skin color, and apparently that's what's important in 2024. Segregation is this year's new color. Is this really an important metric? Is this what's going to make a film better? We both know the answer is no, but here it is, happening again. It's so funny how this article is obsessed with this woman being the first to direct Star Wars, when they actually forgot the first female to direct Star Wars, Deborah Chow. And that's recent. But now, Chow doesn't matter. She only directed the streaming shows. She did next to nothing. You see what happens when you trip over yourself to get people talking about your virtue, Hollywood? People get left behind. And as George W. Bush said, no child gets left behind. And as Jeff J. Hicks says, all of these people act like children. So yes, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy being the first woman has steamrolled Deborah Chow out of existence. But what about the other women responsible for shaping Star Wars? Obaid-Chinoy said, and I quote, "We're in 2024 now, and it's about time we had a woman come forward to shape a story in a galaxy far, far away." That's great and all, but hasn't one woman been doing that for the last decade? Hasn't one woman taken the wheel and cranked it, flipping the car over in the process? Hasn't one woman taken Star Wars and changed it from a beloved series and morphed it into a mess that it is today? Hasn't one woman used the Force to get her way? And what is the thing she always likes to say?
Put a chick in it, make her gay!
Ah, yes, Kathleen Kennedy. Isn't she the real woman that has shaped Star Wars for a decade? You can check out the videos, but we've discussed her a time or two in the past. Kathleen Kennedy is kind of a big deal at Lucasfilm. She's the driving force behind everything. Didn't like Luke's death? Kathleen Kennedy. Didn't like the asinine plot? Kathleen Kennedy. Hated Indiana Jones 5? All Kathleen Kennedy. The Force is female? That's her too. Acting like Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy is the first female voice in Star Wars is ridiculous. In the past few years alone, Kathleen Kennedy has had her voice heard many, many, many times. It's frustrating to read these articles with the entertainment industry patting themselves on the back, especially when it's a flat-out lie. We should always shine the spotlight on those who actually achieved. Let the glow illuminate their efforts. Let the light show their true achievements. We should never forget Kathleen Kennedy and what she did for Star Wars, or to it. With old Kathleen Kennedy, it's like shining a flashlight down a cave. You may see the first few steps and be amazed by its wonder and endless possibilities, but at the end of the day, it's just a disappointing hole. Like Kathleen Kennedy. The issue goes deeper than just Star Wars. Marvel has bent over backwards to praise its first female director, its first female Asian director, its first black female director. When will they get their first female director to make something good? All of these firsts gets the praise of an ever-declining left portion of the audience, but they don't really have any staying power or sell tickets based on the genitals the director has. Does that actually matter? Did it matter that Wayne's World was directed by a woman, or American Psycho, or Big, or Pet Sematary, or Real Genius, or European Vacation, or Point Break, or Billy Madison, or Deep Impact? No. Those are great films that stand on their own. The gender identity of directors means very little overall, yet with modern films, it's essential to tell audiences. All it does is get people talking about a movie and forming a negative opinion before the thing is even released. Selling a movie or anything that an audience would perceive as agenda-driven, or woke, kills it instantly. This new Star Wars movie is going to be one of those movies. How do we know? Well, the last 3 were, and they had the voice of the almighty Kathleen Kennedy behind them. Will Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy be any different? Will her voice make the change, or will this be a continuation of The Rise of Skywalker that no one seems to like? That's not going to affect the box office. People swear that the Star Wars brand is the strongest it's ever been. It's not. Any of these behemoths can fall. Look at the Marvels. It started off strong with girl power, a black female director, and plenty of firsts. The only listed top is the biggest Marvel flop ever. It had the girl power, it had the first female black director, but it also had a $247 million budget and earned just $199 million globally. Where is the money? Why didn't people rush out to see all these firsts? The Marvel shows you that these big brands are not impervious to failure, Star Wars included. Selling a movie on an agenda doesn't work anymore. People speak up and about it now and aren't afraid to be called a name anymore. The days of calling a critic sexist are over. Sure, they still happen, but those ist and phobe words do nothing anymore except show what kind of people the accusers are. Ill-equipped. If these people could only learn from their past mistakes and stop trying to hype up a film in this manner, we'd see less dissent and disinterest from fans. It sounds as if I'm writing off this Rey movie, and I am. Is anyone really interested in this film? Did Rey move the needle? Variety lists Ahsoka as the first female protagonist to lead anything in Star Wars. In this crazy rush of firsts, they can't even get their own agenda straight. It's like children are in charge. You know, I bet you if you cut open Lucasfilm, you'd find a bunch of kids in a trench coat running the whole thing. Prove me wrong. This Rey movie has always been destined to fail. And that's okay. It reeks of desperation. For some reason, Lucasfilm thinks that this will right the ship and fix everything. More of the one thing that damaged it in the first place isn't going to help. The Force's female directive hurt Star Wars because it turned it into a joke. The terrible films that followed didn't help, but starting the hype machine with diversity fuel causes it to break down. Think Challenger or Hindenburg. That's Star Wars in 2024. If it makes it to 2027, I'll be impressed. I'm dying to see the results of this woman's work. I'm sure we'll all be laughing. And if you want to laugh with something you love instead of laughing at it, may I suggest Stealing Solo. Stealing Solo is my graphic novel. It answers the greatest what-if question of all time. What if a group of disgruntled Star Wars fans kidnapped Harrison Ford and forced him to remake Star Wars in their basement? It's been called Laugh Out Loud Funny, it's on a lot of important people's radars, and it can be sent to you directly right now. And folks, you definitely want to pick up a copy of this book because when it all sells out, and we're getting closer to that number, I'll begin working on the sequel, Shadows of Bullshit, Stealing Solo 2. And then finally, Frankenfrisher, The Bride of Solo. So folks, I got a lot coming out this year, and I know the holidays are over, but if you have some of that holiday cash from Grandma, check out Stealing Solo and get ready for March, because that's when you'll get your chance to grab Wokebusters. And Wokebusters is changing comics for the good. So folks, join us back in March for that, and keep watching all of our videos for new updates all the time. Because we have all of that, our 200K celebration, our Japan announcement, and a whole lot more coming your way in 2024. So make sure you're subscribed to WCBS for all of this fun and a whole lot more. 2024 is the year of the bullshitter. Join us in the celebration. So folks, what do you think about all of this? Here are your 3 questions for today. How hard did you roll your eyes? No, actually, that's not a good one. What did you think when you heard the announcement of the Rey film? What did you think when you heard the whole feminist rant of, I'm going to be the first female director to do Star Wars in my voice and blah blah blah? And question 3, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? I know none of you are going to say the Disney ones, and that's cool, because I read these comments, and I really don't want to read why The Last Jedi is actually great and we're all man babies or some other Ryan Johnson. If you're in the comments section still, please stop making movies. But am I crazy when I question these things? Oh, the first female to do this, the first man to do that. I get it. It's a marketing tactic, but it's a lame one. And when it undoes what's come before, I don't think it's a very good marketing tactic. But like I said, folks, I always want to know what you think, so tell me down in the comments below. But thank you for watching, folks. WCBS has been around for a while now. We'd like to thank everyone who's stuck with us since the beginning, and welcome everyone that keeps on joining. We are growing, we are making it to 200K, and folks, it's going to be a great year. So from all of us here at WCBS, thank you for watching. Join us on Thursday for the podcast, and be on the lookout for our time updates. We might be shuffling around some of our live streams because we hear that we go a little too late. And so, folks, we always aim to please, so be on the lookout for that update in the coming weeks. But until then, folks, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other. Thanks for watching today's video. Yes, it's over, but don't cry because there's more, a lot more from World Class Bullshitters. And there's only one way to get it. Hit that subscribe button below. When you do that, you'll get notifications and updates from World Class Bullshitters every time we go live. Basically, you won't miss anything. And if there's one thing I hate, it's FOMO. But the thing most people hate more than FOMO is fear of missing out on World Class Bullshitters, because there's just some things you can't undo. So folks, do yourselves a favor and never miss anything from World Class Bullshitters. One last thing before you go, hit the thumbs up button. Not for our egos, no, they're big enough as this, but it does help us fight the algorithm here, and well, it's man versus machine, and that's the real fight. But if that's not your battle, that's okay. There's one last way you can help WCBS, and that's going over to shopwcbs.com, picking up a t-shirt, a beer glass, a sweatshirt, a poster, all sorts of ways to back WCBS. The difference between us and other YouTube channels is I'm the artist that makes all this stuff, so if you enjoy art beyond t-shirts, you can even read our comic books. We got it all. We're called the epitome of pop culture for a reason, and no, again, it's not for our egos. So folks, make sure you're involved with every aspect of World Class Bullshitters, not just for us, but do it for yourself. We're making the change in entertainment everybody out there wants to see. And a special thank you goes out to all of our wonderful patrons who make this content possible. Go to patreon.com/worldclassbs to get involved and help out the channel.